Tonight, the new warnings about the region's water crisis.
So I think that gives you a pretty good idea of how far-reaching and how powerful this stigma is.
Heightened concerns about losing projects and losing jobs.
Come fall is when we're going to have a real problem, which is when the layoffs will start happening in this area. That's very concerning for me.
The pleas to regional decision makers today. The cost for calls that shouldn't involve cops. And
it feels a little bit like, quite frankly, the police service is starting to nickel and dime us.
The tensions it set off in Kitchener. Plus, above the water.
Lifts the entire hull out of the water and gets rid of all that resistance and all that drag. So now you're flying over the water.
Waterloo tech that's taking boating to new heights.
Good evening. First up tonight, the latest on the region's water capacity crisis. A committee of regional councillors was told today that the concerns for Kitchener, Waterloo, parts of Cambridge and the townships, and the development freeze that's been put in place, while it's all dealt with, are already sending shockwaves through the local economy. CTV's Colton Weens is joining us live now with more. You know, Colton, there really hasn't been a regional council or committee meeting lately where councillors haven't heard a sense of urgency about this.
Yeah, that's right, Tony. Tons of urgency was heard today as well, with pleas from two main camps. Local construction groups concerned the freeze in development could lead to layoffs and even cost the region projects altogether. The other was focused on groundwater and the environment. The region is now directing staff to better clarify what this water capacity problem actually means. Multiple warnings today to a committee of regional councillors.
I'm worried that if we don't have a solution within the next few weeks to at least lift some of these permits that are held right now, come fall is when we're going to have a real problem, which is when the layoffs will start happening in this area. That's very concerning for me.
The construction and real estate industries telling the Sustainability, Infrastructure and Development Committee the region's freeze on major development approvals because of a water capacity issue is making the area undesirable for work.
At the ICSC convention, which is an industry convention for real estate developers from all over Canada and the US, and it was a topic. Waterloo Region application pause was a topic of discussion at that conference. So I think that gives you a pretty good idea of how far-reaching and how powerful this stigma is.
And that it's already costing them projects.
We lost a 15-acre industrial land deal when the lender pulled the financing on a planned operations expansion by a local employer, specifically because of the uncertainty due to the Mannheim water issue. A long-term care operator that we were working with who was focusing on a site in the region to build a 256-bed facility has dropped that deal and is now exploring other municipalities outside of the region.
The region identified the issue in December, saying the current water system won't have enough capacity to serve the growing populations of Kitchener, parts of Cambridge and the townships. Delegates at today's meeting arguing the ripple effect goes beyond that.
If you look at Bruce Nuclear, they're looking at significant expansion, no question about it. And in the meeting, it was said that there'll be no electrician jobs in Kitchener-Waterloo in the near future, so they will be able to pull everybody out and move it through. That'll decimate our industry.
The Waterloo Region Home Builders Association told committee the freeze has an immediate risk to projects and the 24,000 people employed in construction.
The Greater KW and Cambridge Chambers of Commerce have already advised that the freeze effectively hangs a sign on Waterloo Region that says closed for new business.
Delegates from both industries asking the region to keep them involved and informed on solutions. Others raised environmental concerns, urging the region to protect groundwater, which is critical to the system.
Your own third-party report is blatantly clear, starting right on page 3, that in 2023, 2024, and 2025, unsustainable levels of water was pumped from the Waterloo Moraine, lowering aquifer water levels faster than they can be replenished.
A hydrogeology group told committee they don't believe there is a groundwater issue, but instead treatment isn't happening fast enough and the model the region is using isn't the right way to do it, arguing the real numbers would show there's enough capacity to approve projects right now. Regional staff say it's a little more complicated than that, saying the area has seen average water demand higher than what's sustainable and that while the community can pump at higher rates, it's not sustainable. Now, the committee also approved several motions during the meeting that will impact this issue. First, Councillor Joe Gowing suggested for a formal review of the groundwater supply to find ways for long-term protection of it. That was approved. Then committee approved a motion from Councillor Barry Verbanovic for the region to work with municipalities on a risk-based approach, so up to 50% of the projects that are planned for the next 5 years can be approved. And committee asked regional staff to draw up a report to clarify the suggestions from the community on the capacity constraint itself. That work will be done and is expected to be taken up later this month. Tony.
Okay, so some late decisions there. We'll have an update, of course, as well later tonight. Colton, thank you very much for a busy day on the water capacity issue. Meanwhile, another move today. That Committee of Regional Councillors has agreed to rescind a 1980 agreement which was limiting how much water can be drawn from Wilmot in order to get more flowing to the Mannheim treatment plant. Wilmot's mayor told her regional colleagues today there is enough water for this to happen, though she told her township colleagues last night she hopes it'll be temporary. Of course, the decision has to be ratified by the next full regional council meeting. Time for a check on the weather. Ashley Bacon is live now in studio with us for all the latest, and I have to tell you, it was so pleasant to get out there today and not feel like you needed as many layers.
No, absolutely you did not, Tony. It was much warmer than we've had experienced in some time, and we'll get into details about that a little later in the show. But what I will tell you now is we reached 1.7 degrees around 2 o'clock today, so well above seasonal, which is around -3 for this time of year. And the good news is we're going to sit right on par for seasonal or above for at least the next few days. Let's take a look at our radar right now. We're not seeing a lot of activity in Kitchener-Waterloo at the moment, but we are expecting some flurries overnight and possibly a few throughout tomorrow. But overall conditions relatively clear. We're not looking at any major accumulation. Zero right now, west by northwest winds at 22 kilometers an hour. So it's getting a little windy out there, which means we might feel a little bit chilly with the wind chill. -6 is where we're feeling right now. But compared to the deep freeze we were just in, Tony, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling really thawed out after today.
I agree. It's a bit of relief. Ash, thank you very much. In Brantford today, police were parked outside a local motel where a fight left one man dead and another charged with second-degree murder. Police received a call about a disturbance between two men at the Sherwood Motel around 7 p.m. They say one man who appeared to have been assaulted was found dead. The second, a 42-year-old from Brantford, was charged. Police say the two men knew each other and this was an isolated incident. And in Kitchener, two suspects are in custody from a shooting in the downtown area on January 28th. A man was left with non-life-threatening injuries after the shooting in the King Street and Scott Street area of Kitchener. A 25-year-old man and a 28-year-old man, both from Kitchener, facing a long list of charges, including assault with a weapon and robbery with a firearm. When police get a call, it's not always something they should be responding to. So now they are looking to bill cities for incidents that should be handled by bylaw instead. And that's led to some tension in Kitchener between city councillors and regional police. CTV Spencer Turcott looking into this for us and joins us live. Spencer, what prompted this plan for police to start billing for dispatching bylaw?
Well, it all stems from recent changes to provincial legislation allowing police boards to recover these costs, which can be significant. A new City of Kitchener staff report indicates Waterloo Regional Police have been providing dispatch services for municipal bylaw enforcement at no cost to the city for 30 years.
However, recent amendments to the Police Service Act now allow police service boards to recover costs for non-core services, including dispatch services for municipal enforcement.
Meaning it could now cost the city about $587,000 a year based on current call volumes, but will be evaluated annually.
The proposed model would provide dedicated bylaw-only dispatchers, a separate radio channel, and a centralized phone number for bylaw calls.
The contract is set to begin in July, but the police service will only begin to charge in October.
This is simply police recovering the costs they have to pay for in order to provide this service to us.
With a dedicated line for bylaw enforcement, response times are expected to be faster since they would no longer be managed alongside other police calls. Still, councillors, including Kitchener's mayor, aren't pleased with the associated cost.
The fact that we had an operating understanding, we took on certain costs, they took on certain costs over the last 25 plus years. now they're essentially saying the legislation's changed, so we're going to use this as an opportunity to bill you. Is that essentially what the message is from WRPS?
I think Mr. May wants to take that one. That's correct.
It feels a little bit like, quite frankly, the police service is starting to nickel and dime us.
The new model is expected to improve bylaw officer safety by allowing for continued access to police dispatch, which may be needed to request backup. That point alone prompted councillors to vote in favor of the contract, but not without reluctance.
Anyways, I just don't feel really good about this change. I think it would have been appropriate for somebody from WRPS to actually be here to answer some questions.
Meanwhile, a statement from the police service says in part they would have been happy to answer any questions at the meeting, but to clarify, WRPS was never invited to attend. Adding none of this should have come as a surprise because discussions with the City of Kitchener around the new dedicated bylaw system began on July 2nd, 2024 and have been ongoing since then. And the quoted cost for this new approach is based on Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge, and North Dumfries all agreeing to the contract. If one doesn't go forward, Tony, the cost for the others goes up.
Okay, Spencer, thank you. CTV Spencer Turcott live with those details for us. The Gordie Howe International Bridge in Windsor is now at the center of the latest dispute in the trade war between Canada and the U.S. CTV's Siobhan Morris has the latest on that.
It was a moment of friendship, a symbol of cooperation. A sunrise handshake as neighbors were bound together by a steel beam over the Detroit River, part of the new Gordie Howe Bridge. Less than 2 years later, the President of the United States is threatening to keep the span from opening.
The U.S. should own at least half of the bridge, have shared authority over what passes across it, and participate in the economic benefits generated by its use.
The Prime Minister spoke with Donald Trump, trying to set him straight.
I explained that Canada, of course, paid for the construction of the bridge, over $4 billion, that the ownership is shared between the state of Michigan and the government of Canada.
Mark Carney confident it will all work out. So is the Premier.
Because it's in the best interest of the American economy, the Americans, the 13 congresspeople that are going for re-election in the midterms.
The risk is more congestion on the Ambassador Bridge in the busiest commercial corridor between Canada and the U.S.
A move like that would threaten thousands of workers, both American and Canadian, right? It's bad for both of us.
President Trump is again singling out Ontario's LCBO, one of the biggest buyers of alcohol in the world, keeping American-made booze off its shelves for almost a year. Doug Ford has no plans to bring it back.
Want to fix it? Get rid of the tariffs. Stop hurting Americans and Canadians.
Ontario has about $80 million of American booze in storage. Some, mostly pre-made cocktails, is about to be poured down the drain.
I believe that the number is around just under $2 million that will expire by May.
Other provinces have sold off their backstock, often giving the proceeds to charity. But the Premier and his finance minister say doing that would hurt Ontario alcohol producers. At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Well, more developing news now. Canada's 3 major airlines have all now canceled flights to Cuba as the situation there deteriorates with fuel shortages. Empty planes are now heading down to help bring travelers home. CTV's Raheem Ladani has an update.
For some Canadians in Cuba, their vacations are being cut short, now waiting to get back home.
A smooth trip down here has turned into a sort of disruptive return. So we're just going to enjoy the weather.
Steve Chapman flew to Varadero over the weekend and wasn't scheduled to fly back to Ottawa until the end of the month. But WestJet sent him an email overnight saying his flight home has been canceled.
We spoke to a person on the ground here, the tour operator, and she said that we just need to wait for an email from WestJet saying when we will be on our way home.
WestJet, Air Transat, and Air Canada are all winding down operations to the island country, which is experiencing its worst economic crisis in nearly 70 years. The country is struggling amid a lack of access to Venezuelan crude oil following U.S. action in that country. This has prompted major airlines to fly empty planes with extra fuel to bring travelers back.
That's why this is going to roll over the next, 5-10 days and bring people back as they were normally scheduled to when they left. And the idea of that is it gives people a chance to enjoy their time down there.
At Terminal 3, inside Toronto's Pearson International Airport, some travelers are beginning to arrive from Cuba.
Our resort was good, like the food was fine. We had like little hot water, but that was fine. And
no power outages.
No power outages or anything like that.
On our resort we didn't, but there was a whole bunch of people's resorts who got shut down due to the oil crisis.
It's not easy for the Cubans, but for the tourists we have no problems whatsoever, to be honest with you. And I'm really sad that they've canceled all the flights.
Cuba's economy could suffer even further as airlines announce they're halting service until at least the end of April. Those who have flights booked will likely be reimbursed, but not necessarily for all expenses.
What about the non-refundable cost of the airfare, the vacation, the tours, all that? Unfortunately, if cancellation or interruption insurance was not purchased or it can't be purchased as of today, they don't have a lot of holdout for any hope of getting any of their monies back.
Some hotels have been closed and guests relocated as the Cuban government tries to save on resources.
CTV's Rahim Ladani reporting. Well, closer to home is a special night tonight over at the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. The Rangers, who've now clinched a playoff spot, by the way, are hosting their Highway 401 rivals tonight, the London Knights. And this game is also putting community in sharp focus. CTV's Karis Mapp live at the Odd now. And Karis, it is potato night.
It is potato night. The doors just recently opened, Tony, so you can see the people start to make their way in. Many spuds in hand because it is the 29th annual Don Cameron Potato Night. So the House of Friendship is in partnership with the Rangers tonight, helping host this game. As you can see behind me, they have their booth. Even to my left here, we have Spuddy and Sweet, their mascots, who are just collecting both monetary donations as well as potatoes. So this has been a tradition that's long going. Like I said, 29 years. It was actually founded by the Rangers' longtime play-by-play radio announcer, the late Don Cameron, and he actually worked with the Rangers for 50 seasons. So at the time, he thought that this would be a really meaningful and practical way to kind of give back to our community, and the tradition has continued on ever since. So it's shaping up to be an exciting night both on and off the ice. As you mentioned earlier, Tony, my goodness, the Rangers are taking on the London Knights. They actually only played about 6 nights ago, and that was when the Rangers were able to get that 4-3 overtime, exciting, thrilling win. So fans are coming in with their potatoes. They're ready for a good game, hopefully another win for the Rangers, and we're just going to see how it goes. We'll have some more interviews later in the show, and hopefully I might get in the potato suit. We'll see what happens.
Anything is possible tonight when the community comes together. All right, Karis, thank you. We'll see you later at the Odd. Appreciate that. Okay, coming up, a performance at a city-owned venue in Kitchener generating some pushback even before it happens. Coming up, we'll tell you why the location and the performance for these sold-out shows has some people concerned.
Flurries are in the forecast for tonight and a bit tomorrow. Just how much of the white stuff are we going to get? Those details with your full weather forecast is coming up. Stay with us.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We go to a dramatic scene unfolding.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. CTVKitchener.ca, your home for news. When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400. From your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Well, there are calls for the city of Kitchener to cancel 2 upcoming shows by a controversial comedian. Ben Bankus is booked to take the stage next month at a city-owned venue. CTV's Krista Simpson has more.
The Conrad Centre for Performing Arts in downtown Kitchener set to host 2 shows by a controversial performer.
It's not acceptable.
Okay, this guy's funny, he's racist, but...
Stand-up comedian Ben Bankus makes jokes about immigration, diversity, the 2S LGBTQIA+ community, and residential schools. Born in Toronto, he now resides in Texas. Sarah Walker stumbled across clips of his performances online where Bankus mocked the fatal shooting of Renee Good by an ICE agent. She was shocked to learn he is scheduled to take the stage in Kitchener at a venue owned by the city. She says while she supports free speech, what Bankus says is harmful.
That's not free speech anymore, right? That's hate speech, and we need to draw a line in the sand as far as what we allow and don't allow.
When you read the charter,
of like the Canadian Charter. He crosses a lot of lines. This is not about comedy. This is not about censorship.
Brian Lockyer is a former Kitchener resident now living in Nova Scotia who started a group to bring together people with concerns about Bancas performing at the Conrad Centre. They're calling on the city to cancel the booking.
I think they need to set a precedent that you can't just use public spaces to spout your opinions and claim that it's art.
Bancas has had shows cancelled in other parts of Ontario and in Minnesota, those coming not long after his comments about Renee Good. In a statement, the City of Kitchener tells CTV News, "We are actively monitoring this file and more information will be shared when appropriate."
Our city has their own standards and protocols for hate speech, right? And if they're not going to take their own advice, then how is anybody else supposed to?
But if the shows do go ahead as planned, Walker says there will be a group outside making their displeasure known.
We have every intention of being here on the day that he performs, if this is allowed to go forth, and ensuring that he feels the discomfort that we feel.
CTV reached out to Bancas representatives who provided a statement on his behalf that says in part, "It's a comedy show for consenting adults who understand the nuance and enjoy the commentary. Freedom of speech is important to me, and if people want to see taboo comedy, they should be able to." Both his Kitchener shows are sold out. Krista Simpson, CTV News, Kitchener.
In health news, a new exhibit and new funding for research into childhood brain tumors in memory of a 5-year-old girl. Here's CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan.
25 portraits to match the years since Denise Bebenik started the foundation in Megan's honor.
Photographs that are here show who I call our heroes. These are our kiddos who we've supported through the years and given the families the opportunity, the ones that sadly have passed away, to celebrate their children.
They're calling it the 7% Gallery.
As we celebrate the medical advancements in pediatric brain tumor research, understanding that only 7% of Canadian cancer research funds go to pediatric oncology. And given that brain tumors are the #1 cause of cancer-related death in children, we felt it was time to get this statistic under control.
That figure is reflected in the 25 portraits, which are only 7% colorized.
They show children, researchers, and Megan's Hug events, which have raised some $6.5 million for brain cancer research. Andrew Bondock talks about DIPG, the cancer Megan had, and the innovative ways they are developing to fight it by getting around the blood-brain barrier.
It's called MRI-guided focused ultrasound. It's a technique by which we non-invasively open the blood-brain barrier transiently, so for only a limited amount of time, which allows the drugs to get in, and then it closes back up.
And funding from the Megan Bebenik Foundation is already affecting patients' lives, like little Massimo, who was diagnosed with a brain tumor last year.
Just said mama this past week. He's learning to walk. He's making huge strides in his development that would not have been possible but for the advancements made in research that were partially funded by MDF.
Massimo's family is grateful, but say more must be done, and they hope to see everyone at the annual Megan's Hug event outside Sid Kids Hospital on Mother's Day. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
A live look outside now at King Street West in Kitchener, right in Midtown, at the end of a very mild day. Ashley Bacon's back in a few moments to let us know how the rest of the week looks in weather. Plus, more medals, but also more setbacks for Canada at the Winter Games. We're giggling about how nice it was out today, but you know what? It's because it hasn't felt like this, I don't think, since maybe the beginning of December or late November.
Well, you're not far off.
Yeah.
But we'll get into some facts about the last time we felt this warm a little later. But it's been a few weeks.
Feels like it's been
certainly
months.
been a few weeks. And it was so nice out today, Tony. We actually reached 1.7 degrees. We were forecasting 0 yesterday, so a little warmer than what we predicted.
Do you know what's funny about this melt, by the way? is I noticed today that because the parking lot snow is melting,
yes,
and it was melting during the day today, you can see where everyone had actually double parked.
Oh.
Because the lines
you can start to see the lines come
are showing
through.
up again.
Well, and that's a good point you bring on that melt, and we'll talk about melting and freezing over in a bit as well. But first, let's take a look at Kitchener this hour. You can see it's still a bit gloomy out there. It is a bit cloudy and will continue to be so. We are expecting some flurry activity throughout the night, so those clouds are going to stick around. We're not going to really have a very clear sky to get out and stargaze tonight. But I want to talk to you a little bit about some fun winter facts. Rob Kuhn, meteorologist with Environment Canada, providing them with us today. Now, Tony, we were just talking about this, but it's been 24 days since we last went above zero, and that was reached on January 17th. We reached 0.4 degrees, but get this, the longest stretch of below zero days we've had was back in 2015, 48 consecutive days. So by comparison, not so bad.
Yet it felt like we tied or beat that this time, didn't it?
Exactly. We came close, but not really that close. We kind of went halfway on there. But, you know, so if big picture things, we've had, yes, a very cold winter, but back in 2015, it got a lot worse. So let's get right into what's happening now. Of course, we are seeing a little bit of a cloud cover, as we just saw with our tower cam. That's going to continue up near Mount Forest, Wyerton. You're starting to see some flurry activity. You're going to get around 2 centimeters of snow overnight and around 2 centimeters tomorrow. Here in Kitchener-Waterloo, we will see some flurry activity, but no lingering or accumulating snow, which is great news. That's going to last, you know, on and off throughout the day, but we will see another band of it around the lunch hour tomorrow into about 3 or 4 p.m., and that will continue to taper off as we get into the evening hours of Wednesday. Right now across the country, sitting at a very comfortable 9 degrees in both Vancouver and Victoria, and that sun is shining bright. Over the Rockies, it's 2 degrees in Edmonton. As we get into the prairie provinces, -2 in Saskatoon and -8 in Winnipeg. As we look a little closer to home at our nation's capital, it's snowing in Ottawa, but we're currently sitting at -7. On the East Coast in St. John's, sitting at 0 degrees. So it is relatively warmer across the entire country this hour. -1 in Kitchener-Waterloo right now, but of course we are getting a little bit of wind chill, feeling closer to -7 as temperatures dip overnight. We are looking at a low expected of -5, so not terribly cold. Right now for this time of year, -12 is our normal. So -5 is above seasonal for our overnight low, which is great news. Tomorrow we're sitting at a seasonal expected high of -3. Flurries to start your day, and then again we'll get some patches throughout your afternoon. Looking at our 7-day forecast for Waterloo region, cloudy conditions for your Thursday, a high of -5, but that's the coldest day of the week, which is great news. 0 for Friday, and then by Valentine's Day, sunny and 0. In Lambton, Kent, Essex, similar conditions there. -2 and cloudy for your Wednesday. The sun making a triumphant return by Thursday, and look at those above seasonal temperatures through the weekend and into next week. Very warm by comparison indeed. And lastly, in southern Georgian Bay, as expected, we're going to see a little bit of snow tomorrow. High of -3, -5 for Thursday, rather. Mix of sun and cloud for your Friday, and that sun making a return just in time for Valentine's Day. A high of 0 for your Saturday. Okay, let's take a look at today's Weather Watcher picture sent in from Brent, who took this picture of downtown Cambridge last week. He says the city was sparkling like diamonds. Beautiful. I couldn't agree more, Brent. It is stunning. Thank you for sending in that gorgeous shot of Cambridge.
It is beautiful. Always gorgeous right there. And, you know, I'm glad you reminded us that Rob Kuhn put this all in perspective with the days that it's been since it's been above zero, because January 17th escapes me.
I know. It feels like it was months ago, but really it wasn't that long ago.
It speaks to how harsh the season's been.
It's been a tough winter.
All right, well, Ash, now we're going to get back into something heartwarming. We're going to head back over to the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium for tonight's Rangers game, the annual Don Cameron Potato Night. CTV's Karis Mapp, live with this year's edition of a tradition that really does benefit the community, Karis.
Absolutely. And Tony, I know earlier I said I would be in the potato suit. It wasn't for a lack of trying. I couldn't get in it, but I did bring Spuddy here, so he is here to represent the potato mascot. As you already mentioned, 29th annual Don Cameron Potato Night. And I'm joined by Jennifer Scott, who is the CEO of House of Friendship. And Jennifer, thank you so much for being here. A lot of people would think potato, you know, it was a fun thing to do. People get involved. Can you tell me a little bit how it actually helps the operations that you guys do day to day?
Yeah, so potatoes for a lot of people are a staple food item. So when we're having this potato night, we're raising potatoes and cash to support people in the community who need food. 1 in 9 people in Waterloo region don't have enough money to purchase the food that they need. So this really helps to ensure that our neighbors in need have access to food all year long.
And a lot of people here packing their potatoes. There are the carts out front that people are dropping them off in. But I understand in the last year or so, in the last couple of years, including tonight, there's a push for more monetary donations. Can you kind of explain why that's the case?
Yeah, monetary donations, honestly, they last longer. So back in 5-10 years ago, we would collect 60,000 pounds of potatoes in February, and keeping them fresh and distributing them quick enough was hard. So a financial donation allows us to ensure that people have access to the food that they need all year long.
And quickly, Jennifer, can you tell me a little bit about what you guys actually do in our community to help those in need?
Yeah, so we have food programs for folks in the community who are living on a low income. So we have our emergency food hamper program that provides about 40,000 food hampers every year. We work in every low no income neighborhood in Waterloo region and ensure that people have access to the food and connection that they need.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jennifer. So, Tony, as we mentioned, it's potato night. It's not too late to get here. Puck drop is at 7 p.m. Both teams just took the ice, so still lots of time. People are coming in. You don't want to miss it. Tony.
Going to be a good game and a good cause. Karis, thank you so much. CTV's Karis Map live at the Odd. Well, a mix of highs and lows for Canada on what is officially day 4 of the Winter Games, but athletes have added to our nation's medal count. CTV's Scott Hurst reports.
Down and out. Captain of the Canadian women's hockey team, Marie-Philippe Poulin, did not play against the Americans on Tuesday. She's listed as day-to-day with a lower body injury after taking a hit into the boards during Canada's win over Czechia Monday night.
Losing her is obviously a big one because the United States have been the better team internationally over the last couple of years.
And the United States proved to be too strong on this day, beating Canada to remain undefeated in the preliminary round of the women's hockey tournament. Staying on the ice, Canada is back on the podium, this time in short track speed skating, a silver medal in the mixed relay event.
So close to the podium in Beijing, so it kind of feels special just coming back here and just getting ourselves on the podium.
A shared moment of joy for Kim Boutin, Courtney Sarreau, William Dangenou, and Felix Roussel. Florence Brunel and Stephen Dubois also getting medals for skating in the earlier rounds. Figure skater Stephen Gogolev with a strong performance in the men's singles short program with a score of 87.41, setting himself up for the free skate on Friday. So far so good for opening ceremony flag bearer Mikhail Kingsbury, third in moguls qualification, just behind his teammate, Quebec City's Julien Viel. Both are moving on to the finals. And making its Olympic debut, women's alpine team combined. One skier tackling the downhill speed event, the other racing the more technical slalom course. Canadians Valérie Grenier and Laurence Saint-Germain finishing 13th. So the medal count now stands at 3, 1 silver and 2 bronze, with more athletes in the mix for medals tomorrow, including in the ice dance final. 3 Canadian pairs, led by Piper Giles and Paul Poirier, third heading into the final event. Scott Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
There's new insight on how Canadians are using AI to help navigate their health decisions and how often it's leading to unwelcome results. That story next. Doctors are once again warning about the dangers of misinformation when it comes to using artificial intelligence like ChatGPT for health advice. CTV's John Venevali Rao on how often self-diagnosing in this way is proving harmful.
Here's what you can do using ChatGPT.
Online, there's long been plenty of hype.
ChatGPT is now better than your doctor.
About how AI chatbots can diagnose medical problems. A quick consult that's free and easy.
Honestly, I think it's really good. I would place a lot of trust in the answers it gives me.
But the Canadian Medical Association sounding the alarm, warning consulting an AI for medical advice can be dangerous, especially if a patient delays or skips seeing a human doctor.
I would suggest that they need to be extremely curious and cautious, and that the best is still to see their family physician or primary care provider or specialist.
In a new survey of 5,000 Canadians, around half said they'd consulted with either Google AI or ChatGPT for health information. But the survey also found those following AI health advice were 5 times more likely to report health-related harms compared to those who didn't.
The harms tend to be delay in diagnosis or side effects from the treatment.
I think it's pretty good at some things, but there are some inaccuracies.
Some are concerned patients are turning to AI chatbots because of the shortage of family doctors. In fact, more than half who got information online said they had to because a walk-in clinic or doctor weren't available. But experts say an AI can confidently state something untrue and lacks a full patient history.
AI doesn't know them as a full person in their context, whereas I do as a family doctor. I know that they actually had this other symptom last year that they forgot to mention to AI.
And it turns out many are skeptical of AI responses. Only 1 in 4 in the survey say they trust it to provide accurate health information. John Valley-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
All right, recapping our top stories now. Leanne Evans in studio with us for all the latest. And Leanne, we're going to start with some heightened concerns raised to regional councillors today about the water capacity crisis.
Right, Tony. The region heard from delegates this afternoon who voiced their concerns, pleading for urgency. Local construction groups saying the freeze in development could lead to layoffs and is already costing the region projects. Others urged more action on protecting groundwater. The region is now directing staff to better clarify what the water capacity problem actually means. One man is dead, another has been charged with second-degree murder after an incident at a Brantford motel Monday night. Police received a call about a disturbance between 2 men at the Sherwood Motel around 7 p.m. They say one man who appeared to have been assaulted was found dead. The second man, a 42-year-old from Brantford, was then charged. Police say the 2 men knew each other.
And Leanne, on our website tonight, we have details about a snowmobile crash in Wellington County.
A 16-year-old was seriously hurt and had to be airlifted to hospital Monday after the crash. It happened around 9 a.m. at a private property in a rural community just east of Guelph. Now it comes as OPP have launched a campaign to promote safety on and off snowmobile trails. Find out more on our website, scan the QR code, download the CTV News app, or go to ctvnewskitchener.ca. Tony.
Okay, Leanne Evans in studio recapping our top stories. Leanne, thank you.
Thank you.
Flying high with some new tech for boating. Electric innovation out of Waterloo that's helping take the pastime above the water. CTV's Hannah Schmidt has that story next. A local startup is rethinking how boats move by lifting them out of the water. The Waterloo-based company has secured seed funding to accelerate their launch of an electric hydrofoil boat. CTV's Hannah Schmidt shows us more.
It's a boat, but once it gets moving, it behaves more like an aircraft. And Vigo is a Waterloo-based company with the goal of building electric boats that fly above the water.
We implemented a technology called hydrofoils. Hydrofoilers are like wings that sit underneath the hull, lifts the entire hull out of the water, and gets rid of all that resistance and all that drag. So now you're flying over the water.
And Vigo was founded by a group of robotics and aerospace engineers, all coming together with a shared interest in rethinking boat designs from the keel up.
We live an electric lifestyle. The whole world is going electric. And we just found that there was a market opportunity to actually implement electric technology, but do it in a way where you didn't have to sacrifice on range and speed.
The team says that trade-off between performance and battery life has long limited electric boats. Instead of adding heavier batteries, Envigo's solution removes resistance.
So we thought a perfect solution for that is to make the boat fly in the water. So it removes a lot of the drag that a planing boat would have. It's 3 to 4 times more efficient than a planing boat.
The company's first product, the NV1, is a 25-foot, 6-passenger electric cruiser designed for inland lakes.
It takes about 8 seconds. The boat starts flying automatically at 35 kilometers an hour, and our target top speed is 80 kilometers an hour.
The company says their technology also makes the boat easier to operate than traditional vessels, And when it's time to charge, users can plug it in just like an electric vehicle.
Things like auto docking, so it will have the boat just dock itself. Also things like cameras all around the boat, looking for obstacles.
With testing ramping up, and Vigo hopes its flying boat is just the first step in a much bigger shift toward the next generation of boating.
Everybody understood what the limitations are of electric, how flying solves it. We were really about building out our wait list, generating that kind of that demand, and then finding our early adopters to book sea trials this coming spring.
After securing seed funding back in June, the team hopes it will move NV1 closer to market, expand testing, and develop partnerships with traditional boat manufacturers. Hannah Schmidt, CTV News, Waterloo.
As I send it over to you, Ashley, I can't help but think it would be great to get out on the water like that once again. It feels so far away.
Well, it is a little bit far away, unfortunately, Tony. We are going to see some warmer conditions over the next few days, but not quite boating weather. Stay with us. We'll have more on what you're going to wake up to tomorrow a little bit next. Come through. Your Tuesday TV lineup starts with Best Medicine at 7, followed by Will Trent at 8, and then back-to-back Big Bang Theory.
Tonight, Canada and the U.S. face off over a multi-billion-dollar bridge.
Canada, of course, paid for the construction of the bridge, over $4 billion.
What the Prime Minister said on a phone call with the U.S. President. Later on CTV National News, and watch on Crave.
Bounce 99.5 has the music you just can't quit. Home of Bounce Mornings with Angie Hill and Sarge. KW's Bounce 99.5. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app.
Okay, let's head over to Leanne Evans now to find out what our team is watching for later tonight. Leanne.
Well, Tony, we've heard a lot of new concerns raised to regional councillors today over the water capacity crisis. Coming up at 11:30, we'll have more on any of the decision that the committee of councillors made today as they navigate what steps to take next. Tony.
Okay, Leanne, thank you very much. Yes, certainly a lot on the go. It is a very dynamic situation as far as that story goes.
Absolutely.
And I know our team is watching it from every angle today.
I mean, it affects everyone.
It certainly does. Yeah, it's a big story right now. Also a big story is the fact that it just, I don't know, I took a breath when I went out for a walk today, and I thought of what you said yesterday where it's going to feel like spring.
Yes.
It almost did feel like spring.
It did, and I don't want to scare anybody with tomorrow's weather because, you know, we are getting a little bit into wintry conditions. Overnight, we'll see a few flurries. Partly sunny in the morning to start your day off, but we are expecting some bands of flurries to make its way back through over the lunch hour, Tony. So it'll be a little bit of a mixed bag of wintry weather tomorrow.
Okay. Well, finally, I don't know, this might give some flashbacks to track and field or maybe childhood pastimes, but if you've ever wondered if you could compete in an Olympic event, this next story is one that maybe might resonate with you.
Absolutely. And as CTV's Jessica Smith shows us, one Toronto content creator decided to try her hand at everything from skiing to skeleton.
Watching the Winter Olympics has a lot of people saying, maybe I could do that.
I think I could give a hand at ice dance because you don't need to do any of the crazy jumps or anything like that.
Ice dancing or downhill skiing is my forte.
Ice skating? Maybe singles, yeah. Because every time I partnered with someone, that's where I get confused or I'll trip over them. Yeah. So just singles, I think it's possible.
To answer the question how the average Joe or armchair athlete would stack up against an Olympian, Toronto content creator Simona Stallone decided to take on the challenge.
There's a lot of hard work that goes into making something look effortless, and the purpose of this is the comedic twist of this is to showcase that in probably one of the most extreme kind of experiments, but I'm here for it. I commit to the bit, and I'm doing it for the plot.
Stallone created a social media series called the Out of Shape Olympics during the 2024 Summer Games, trying over 20 sports. Now she's back trying her hand at the Winter Games.
I think the whole purpose of the series, obviously, is one, to have fun, but two, is to really showcase how amazing these Olympians are. This is Ewan.
How's it going?
Ski Patrol.
During every attempt, safety precautions are taken, reaching out to professionals in each sport she tries.
I reached out to Mount St. Louis. I was like, hey, this is my idea. This is what I want to do. They were super receptive, and they were very excited to be a part of it. But at the end of the day, they're like, hey, we're going to assign a ski patroller with you the entire day.
the hardest winter game sports she's tried so far.
I did do bobsledding and I did do skeleton. And skeleton was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life.
But her favorite, a Canadian classic.
Oh my gosh, I love curling so much. I never expected to like it that much. I was just went in really with no expectations. What a sport.
Showing that no matter what place an Olympian finishes in, their hard work and dedication are a testament to their incredible skill level.
Up next for Stallone, she's going to try her hand at figure skating events along with a little bit of snowboarding to continue to show her support for the Winter Olympics and its athletes in her own special way. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
All right, thanks, Jess. And you know what one scares me is skeleton.
Oh, yeah. I would love to try it, though.
It looks thrilling.
I mean, I'm always game to try a sport once, at least.
In fact, Ashley's in the middle of a series right now called Get in the Game.
Yes, and we're airing that during our 5 o'clock program, and I've had so much fun getting to try a bunch of new sports over the last few weeks and looking to do some more. So if you guys have some suggestions, email me. Let me know.
What would you most like to do?
Ooh, oh my gosh. Honestly, I would love to try skeleton or bobsledding.
Oof.
That would be really cool.
I don't know if there's a track anywhere around here.
I don't know, but if you guys know of one, please let us know because that would be really fun.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, a little scary, but fun.
Well, tune in on the 5 to see what Ashley tries next as we continue that series and as we continue to keep an eye on what's going on at the games as well.
Absolutely. I mean, it is going to be perfect weather to get out and do some winter sports this week.
It sure will. All right, that's our time. Alexandra Hollick has your next local news tonight at 11. Have a good night.